Hello and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 4th April 2020 and I would like to start today's discussion with this lines. Get busy. Keep busy. It's the cheapest kind of medicine there is on this earth and one of the best. I got these lines from a book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. If you go through this book, you will find a quote by George Bernard Shaw. I'm sure you'd be aware about George Bernard Shaw. Is a very famous person, and I think we have got his biography covered in our channel as well, so do check it out. Now, George Bernard Shaw said that the secret of being miserable is to have the leisure to bother about whether you are happy or not. When you are busy, you don't really check whether you are happy or not. You are naturally happy when you're busy. So many things, particularly those small worries, right? And these small worries, they are the biggest issues. If you go through, people's divorces, if you see friends fighting with each other, if you see, even if there are so many research as well on this thing that most of these big murders and big crimes, they start from a very small matter. So why we should keep all those small worries behind us, and why we should focus on our work is because it keeps us healthy and we can avoid so many problems as well. I'll talk about it more on Monday. There are so many things that we can discuss on this thing, but I'm sure this is more than enough for now. So let's see what we have got on our table today. Today is Saturday, dear friends, so we have total 4 articles. We are going to go through 3 of them. The first one is a million and counting. This one is giving us this figures about coronavirus. Then second one is about geopolitics. Very interesting article. What will be the shape of this world post 2019? And the last one is about only through the prism of science. We should stay away from pseudoscience or those sort of assumptions that are going on, like doing this will prevent coronavirus and this will make you immune, and there are so many things, isn't it? We'll talk about it in detail. But before that, I would like to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses. As you can see on your screen, we have covered various different pen drive and tablet courses. We have basically covered various different examinations with the help of our pen drive and tablet courses, and there are so many students out there, they have cracked various different competitive exams at the comfort of their home with our pen drive and tablet courses. So to find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. Dear friends, to download the PDF of today's lecture, join my Telegram channel. It is totally free, right? And this PDF as well is free of cost. So I think one of you have asked this question yesterday. Was it from English version or Hindi version? I'm not sure, but I thought let me inform all students that downloading PDF as well as joining Telegram channel is free. There is no cost at all. It's very easy as well. Just with one click you can join this Telegram channel. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. A million and counting. Very interesting editorial. It provides us with information, particularly facts and figures. So let's go through them. On 2nd April, 2 days ago, total cases in this world, as far as this coronavirus, of course, cases are concerned, there was somewhere around 1 million. It crossed this 1 million mark. So we are talking about what, 10 lakh people infected by coronavirus, and total deaths because of this COVID-19 was approx 50,000 plus. Next day, you get, roughly speaking, 39,000 or 40,000 new cases. So the total of, as per this 3rd April counting, 10,39,166 people are infected by this coronavirus, and 55,092 total passed away. So a big jump, right, in number. What, roughly 5,100 approx. So the problem is the intensity, as well as, I think every passing day this coronavirus is touching a new tipping point. And USA, sadly, unfortunately, 24% of global cases are found in USA. 2,45,646 cases. As far as deaths are concerned, 26% of global mortality took place in this country, Italy, 13,915 and still counting. It all started in China, but today we have these 4 countries, US, Italy, Spain and Germany. These are the 4 countries with highest cases of coronavirus in the world. The exponential increase becomes striking considering the time taken to report 1 lakh more cases has been reducing. And this is a very alarming situation, that the way this new tipping points, this coronavirus is touching new tipping points every single day, every passing day. It took roughly 12 days to double to 2 lakh. From 1 lakh, it took nearly 12 days to reach this 2 lakh figure. And it took just 3 days to reach 0.3 or 3 lakh figure and 4 lakh. And then you see every 2 days 1 million, beg your pardon, 0.1 million cases or 1 lakh cases are, means cases are piling up every single day or every 2 days. And we have 2 exceptions as well. 0.6 million to 0.7 million, it took place just in 1 day. And 0.9 to 1 million, again, it happened in just a single day. So, it's basically it's running like a horse. Its speed is unbelievable. And the cases could be more than what we know now. We are somewhere around 10,39,000 or maybe today somewhere around 11 lakh cases around the world. But as per this article, and this is a reality as well, the main limiting factor is knowing the true spread has been the restricted number of tests done in most countries, including India. We don't know how many more people are affected by this coronavirus. The big problem is a new kind of coronavirus, asymptomatic or new wave, I would say, of coronavirus, where you find people are not showing any sort of symptoms, or this coronavirus is not showing any sort of symptoms in people. And if you go through this newspaper's research, 28th March 2020, Washington Post. I have a question for you. Can you give me the name of the owner of Washington Post? He was here in India as well a few months ago. And he is famous for a very big company. And then he bought this Washington Post, I think back in 2016. But he is the owner. So give me the name of the owner of Washington Post. Now, the Washington Post, as on 28th March, said that only 2,250 tests per million were performed in USA. Remember when we were talking about South Korea? I told you that in South Korea started testing some 18,000 people out of 1 million or 10 lakh. Out of 10 lakh people, South Korea was testing 18,000. And even today, or a few days ago, or last week, on 28th March, till 28th March, USA was testing just 2,250 people out of 1 million population. So there could be more people who are affected by this thing. And most countries have not made attempts to test those who do not show symptoms. There is accumulating evidence suggesting that substantial fraction of people infected with virus are asymptomatic. For instance, in South Korea, more than 20% of asymptomatic cases did not develop symptoms during hospitalization. And that's what happened in Italy as well. Italy was feeling a bit confident about coronavirus earlier on, when I'm talking about those inception weeks of coronavirus in China. So Italy was not that much bothered about it, or it was not. I won't say it was not taking it seriously, but the whole world was bit, I would say, in a zone where we were feeling that this will never happen to our country. This is a problem of China. And remember that I think he was the governor of Rome or something, or that place. He said he insisted people to hug Chinese people, and all those news items were going on. All those videos were going viral. I'm sure you might have come across this thing. So starting days, first 50 days, Italy, this virus was spreading silently. And the first case was reported on 20th February. Same thing happened with Iceland as well. And now you know the situation of Italy. All of a sudden it is, after 50 days, after spreading silently, this thing has, blasted. So it's a matter of concern. And at present, WHO is saying that this asymptomatic person is not a big threat. Infection, you can get infection, means infection chances are very low. That's what WHO is saying, but it's not saying that 100% or 0% chances. It's saying it's very low. So it can trigger. It can, like a person who is in an individual, this coronavirus would be not making that much impact, but this person can infect someone else, and that person can have a altogether a different you can say impact on coronavirus. Since 1st April, China has been reporting new cases that are asymptomatic. This case of Hubei, news items of Hubei, and one of my colleague has made this video as well on second wave of coronavirus in China. And the biggest matter of concern is that new asymptomatic cases are increasing in China. So basically, more tests are required. Still, there are, I think, lakhs of people around the world. And if I can stretch it a little bit, push the envelope a little bit, then I would say maybe 1 million people. We have to test, or more than 1 million people. We have to test more than 1 million people, so that we know exactly how many of them are affected. But it's very challenging as well. We, as a world, as a human beings, as a medical facilities around the world, we don't have that big, you can say, resources through which we can test this many people in a very short period of time. So it's quite challenging. Moving on to next item, the specter of a post-COVID-19 world. This one is written by N.K. Narayan, and he is ex-diplomat, a former diplomat. And he writes about geopolitics. His articles are quite interesting and informative, and you find that a touch of wisdom as well. His experience in articles that are written by N.K. Narayan. So China is a country that has got a little bit of experience when it comes to extra experience, I would say, when it comes to handling this sort of epidemics. For example, back in 2003, severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, China battled this epidemic back in 2003. So compared to other countries, China is well experienced. I'm sure there are other countries they have learned by observing things from China. They have handled it very well. I think Singapore is a country that has observed things from this 2003, and they have learned. They have observed, and they have placed some protocols. And so there are other countries as well, but China has got this practical experience. Now, before this coronavirus started, or this whole thing became a big thing, before that, what was the scenario of the world? Let's recall. USA-China trade war was going on, isn't it? And we have talked about this thing many a times. Remember, USA-China trade war. And because of this US-China trade war, the situation of global economy was very bleak. So I would write here global economy, right? It was not doing that well. It was basically going down because of this USA-China trade war. Then what about wars, right? Conventional wars. There are so many countries, but I will write down few names here. So you have Yemen, Syria, situation in Iraq, then you have USA Iran situation. Last year we had in 2019 India Pakistan situation, right? This whole Pulwama attack, and then India destroying their terror launch pads. Then you have this migration issue, people from Syria, sub-Saharan Africa migrating to European nation. Then we have other common issues like climate change, protectionism, and there are so many other things as well, right? So these things are more than enough to remember that the things were not that great before this whole coronavirus episode. And after this coronavirus episode, things are going to be a bit bleak as well. as far as where we are standing at present, we in the sense where the world is standing at present, it looks like things are not going to be that positive. Now, China's growth rate has further plummeted. It was already doing that, it was not doing that great. And after this coronavirus thing, China's growth is going to go down. Now, there are many areas in China, they are still under lockdown. And remember that a few weeks ago we were talking about this medical supplies, particularly that generic thing that we add. We get, I'm talking about India, 70% of that raw material, that particular raw material, we get it from China. What is the name of that raw material? What is exact word? Right there are like 3 letters. So give me that the full name as well of that particular thing that we get. It has this therapeutic value when you add it with when you use it for making medicine. 70% of those items we get it from China, and then you have US and Italy and other countries. They are our supplies. So there are so many other industries as well, right? China is one of the biggest exporter of the world, because it is one of the biggest manufacturer of the world. It produces things for so many countries, raw materials, semi-finished products, right? There are some items that are finished product for Chinese companies, but they are a part of, they are part of, we use those things for assembling a product. For example, batteries are there, lights are there. There are so many other things. I can go on and on, for car production, for your construction, for medical field and other things, right? Space, so many things. Now, the consequences for the global economy of China ceasing to be the world's biggest exporter at present is going to impact global manufacturing. It is going to impact global jobs. And we don't have any country at present that can directly replace China. It may take a bit of time. I'm not saying that no one can replace China. There are many potential countries that can replace China. But it's not going to happen in few days or in few years' time. It will take a bit of time, 3 years, 4 years maybe, because China is not a small player. We are talking about China here, right? The world's biggest exporter. So it is important to think of what lies ahead. What will be the future of this world? Now, the COVID-19 pandemic could not have come at a more difficult time, particularly for countries like India, right? Where we are at present. Let's say this is 2020 and we were here in 1950, right? So we have gone through so many ups and downs and so many problems and milestones, and then we have reached here, right? Where we are at present, where we used to be in terms of economy, in terms of society, in terms of science, in terms of other things, apart from environment and other things, right? Generally speaking, things have improved in India and around the world. Of course, I'm not saying that things are 100% perfect. There are challenges and there are some good things as well. There are some bad things as well. But overall, if you see, then we have developed we are more sensible now than what we used to be. That's what I think. But this is just an opinion. So this is just an example again. So we are here now, and it's like that game of snake and ladder. That when you have this 100 here, and then you have this 99. So you are about to reach your home, or about to win, and at the very last moment you have this snake that will drop you from 99. You will come to the single digit. And this is something that I am afraid of, and this is something that the world is afraid of as well. And this can happen, particularly with developing countries like India and other countries. From 99, just like a snake and ladder, we can come to a single digit. All our efforts of last few years, and that's why I think Prime Minister said that if we don't handle ourselves in this 21 days, then our country can go back some 21 years. Right, so we can understand the gravity of this whole thing. The world was already having to contend with an uncertain economic environment, with industries in turn facing newer challenges, such as having to adjust the shift from cost efficiencies to innovations and breakthrough improvements. Added to this were a global slowdown because of this Cold War and other things, increasing political and policy uncertainty, China, USA, UNSC and other things that we have talked about, and social behavior and new environmental challenges, global warming, touching tipping point, crossing 1.5 degrees Celsius and other things. And newly emerging economies such as India were even more affected by all this than some of the older established ones. It is estimated that this lockdown will cost 4% of our GDP, that is somewhere around $120 billion. CII says that COVID-19 impact, it will create huge amount of stress on financial as well as economical world, and India will need somewhere around 6 months, right? Roughly 6 months time to get back to normal, to restore normalcy and business continuity. 6 months time. This is a very long term, we are talking about very long stretch of time. And India has no doubt acted with speed. India is, government has released some packages and things, but we have limited amount of money and we have, huge amount of mouths to feed. So it's going to be very challenging for us, right? This demand and supply, demand of food and other necessities and supplies are limited. So things are, I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say, that things are going to be very challenging, and not just for India, for the world as well. Now, a big challenge that we can find in future is, global recession is going to be there. This is inevitable, and there are various different experts. They are saying that, yes, global recession is something that is going to be inevitable. But the most challenging thing is, so far, USA has been the number one player, like a top leader of the whole world. But after COVID-19 and the way things are going on in USA, the figures and death numbers. So USA may opt for neutrality. USA may step away from this global affairs. And when it comes to the stop seat, right, it's not going to be, it means we won't find a vacuum over there. Of course, China will take the place of USA as a global leader. And China and Russia are in a very good relationship with each other. And these two countries are a part of United Nations Security Council as well. And both nations are arch rival of USA. So we may find a situation, a global order, international order, the USA was more liberal. I would say it was a democratic country at the end of the day. I'm not saying USA is 100% perfect. But what I'm saying is, the comfort thing was that it is a democratic country. But then you will get a country that is not democratic, more sort of autocratic country will take over, or a country where power is more centralized. And the nature of this country itself will create a world where centralization, more central. USA was, of course, when USA was, in fact even today as well, USA is a global leader. So people blame USA that you are democratic in your country, but when it comes to world, you are behaving autocratically. Now imagine a country that is like China, for example, that is autocratic back home, and at global level it is going to be more autocratic, isn't it? And last thing that I would like to add here is that there are countries, right? They are the way China has handled this whole coronavirus thing, shutdown and other things. China's authoritarian methods seem to have helped it contain the spread of the virus, and this authoritarianism is attracting other countries as well. Other nations are inclined, or they want to do what China has done. For example, we have case of Hungary, right? A country in Europe. Now, Hungary country, over there, they have passed a law, and the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, has got extra powers. He has used this coronavirus thing to fetch extra power and to create a sort of authoritarian regime. From democracy, it has headed towards authoritarianism. So this is, we can say, starting of this whole new chapter, right? So we have to be a bit careful about this thing. And last one is only through the prism of science. Now, before I start on this thing, let me take you through this news item, what it is all about. So the news is basically that Prime Minister Modi has said that on Sunday, light lamps for 9 minutes from 9 p.m. So remember Janta curfew, 5 p.m. thing, people were ringing bells, and I rang bells as well. So, and I took part, is not as a bhakt basically, but as an Indian, and it was like I think it was a call for solidarity, that we all have to create this awareness, stay together, in the sense in this fight against coronavirus. We are one as human beings. So Prime Minister has called for this thing, and now there are people who are saying that they have started giving out some assumptions, like this is a sort of yogic practice and other things. Now we have to understand, and Prime Minister Modi has also said this thing, that the plight of the poor, with grinding hold of all economic activity, was also foremost in Prime Minister's speech. He said that we have to take care of our poor people, and we have to take them out of this darkness of lack of food and economic opportunities, and we have to take them through this. We have to throw light on this thing, or we have to take them in this lit area as far as economic world is concerned. So here this article is talking about this Prime Minister Narendra Modi's third address to the nation, and former president of Indian Medical Association, he said that this call for this 9 p.m. Using candles or lighting this diyas or using your mobile torch is a sort of yogic principle of collective consciousness. He tweeted about this thing. Not Modi ji, I'm talking about this former president of Indian Medical Association. He said that this is a sort of yogic principle of collective consciousness, but this tweet was deleted by him later on, and people have started talking about this thing, and there is a sort of controversy going on. So basically, right, in short, what we have to understand is that we have to understand microbiology. I'm not saying that we have to start a new course of bachelor's and master's. You don't have to do master in this microbiology. Basically, you have to understand some basic things associated with virus, bacteria, and this microbiology, or the world of microbiology. And the central and the state governments are making huge efforts to give us a crash course on the spread and arrest of COVID-19. Now, if you go back a few years ago, I think it was in 2014 when the first time Prime Minister Modi, when after getting elected, he was addressing this Indian Science Congress, and at that point of time he talked about this Pushpak Viman. Pushpak Viman is a sort of plane or a sort of flying aircraft that is mentioned in our mythology like Ramayana and Mahabharata. So he talked about, Modi ji said during his interaction with this international science conference, that he said that we have this, India is a country where you have this, if we go back in our history, ancient history, then we have this evidence of this Pushpak Viman. And then another incident that I can recall is, he talked about this Ganesh ji. He said that the first surgery took place in India as well. He gave example of Ganesh ji, and those scientists and doctors and all those people from science background, they were not happy with this statement coming from a prime minister. So it is important that our prime minister, he promotes scientific temper in the population of our country, or in our citizens. And we find many a times, this sort of viewpoints coming from influential people, like back in 2017-18, Satyapal Singh, Minister of State for Human Resources, he said that this Darwin theory of evolution is basically not scientific, and he said that is scientifically wrong, and we need to get rid of it from our school curriculum. I remember a statement from a judge of High Court judge of Rajasthan High Court judge. He said, he talked about this, this breeding process of peahen and peacock. He said that the drop of this water has been catched by the peak of this peacock, and then he basically gives it to this peahen, and that's how the breeding takes place. And so we find many times this sort of people, influential people, they talk about things that are not scientific, not that much scientific. Like, let me clarify here, Prime Minister has not said anything unscientific here. The reason why we find this article is that there are people who are indulging in this pseudo-scientific solutions. So we have to understand that we need to get away from this pseudo-scientific solutions. The only thing that can protect us is science. When I say science, I'm talking about medical science. It's the only thing that can protect us from this coronavirus thing. Of course, this 9 p.m. 9-minute thing is more, I would say, for it's like a pledge, or it's like creating awareness. It will create a sense of energy as well in people. We will feel a bit more energetic that the whole country is against this coronavirus. We are on same boat and other things, So these are the things that we can make out of it, right? Socially, this is important, but we have to understand that it is not a scientific way of eliminating coronavirus. So that's everything. Now let's move on to next item. As you can see on your screen, this lady here, she is a nurse by profession, and she was infected with this coronavirus, but now she is coronavirus free. So this peers are, basically celebrating her victory, and hats off to her. And then we have NSA, that is National Security Act, on our table. This will be applied on 6 Tablighi Jamaat members who have behaved obnoxiously. They have been harassing women staff. They were, misbehaving with them, like, sexually trying to misbehave with them. And some of them were, without wearing any clothes, they were roaming around and they were demanding beedies and cigarettes and things. So NSA will be applied on them. Doctors who escaped mob return next day. So hats off to this brave doctors, right? They are even after this stone pelting on them, they are coming back to work and going in that particular area. Ensure that basic needs for poor are met, has been said by President. And last one is Cuban doctors fighting virus around the world. In 14 countries, Cuban doctors' medical diplomacy of Cuba is shining in countries that are like Spanish, French countries. And that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video. And I have asked you a question, right? So stick your answer in the comment section. And dear friends, tomorrow is Sunday, so no Hindu analysis lecture on Sunday. Now I will directly meet you on Monday. And from Monday, this lecture, you will get English version, you will get before 10 a.m. in the morning, right? From Monday, you will get this English analysis 10 a.m. Hindi analysis, you will get it before 9 a.m. Right, so this is a small notification. And that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video. God bless you all. Jai Hind.